Hey, hi, Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a part 2 to a video that I filmed last July of 2020. I filmed 12 books that intimidate me that I hope to read in the next 12 months. And then previously, about 2 weeks ago, I think it is at this point, I filmed a video where I reacted to that video, told you which ones I had read, and then went on a journey to read the rest of them. I was horribly unsuccessful in that video and I'm a little bit ashamed to release it to you all, but today I'm going to be doing part 2. So this video I'm going to be listing another 12 books that I hope to read in the next 12 months, and then over the next 12 months I will be slowly working on those books. And I can already tell you right now what those 12 months will look like is there will be about 10 months where I don't think about this list at all, and then 2 months where I try to very quickly throw everything into my TBR. So one thing that I made sure to do when I made this list this time was I added a lot of books that I already own. So a lot of them are audiobooks, so you're going to be seeing images here, but I think out of the 12 of them, there's only 4 that I don't currently own, and out of those 4, I know that my library has 2 of those 4. I'm going to tell you right now, though, the reason why I'm intimidated by most of these books is because they're chunkers of books. They're fat boys, they're big, they're lofty, I'm scared of them. I know that when I read them, it's going to take me probably 2 weeks, and I get like in slumps when books take me that long, and I get sad and I don't want to read anymore, and it's all a character flaw. It's all on me, but it's real and it's happening. I'm not going to sit and talk about the reasons why these books intimidate me if the reason is just they're fat. But if it's a different reason, I will talk about it, which I think there's only like 3 that have a different reason. So starting at the top of the list, these are in no particular order. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I've owned this book for so long and I still haven't gotten to it because every single time I think about just reading it, I'm like, but I could read something shorter instead. Like, that's a valid option, is just something shorter. So The Blade Itself is Joe Abercrombie's, I don't think it's his first book ever, but it's like the first in this series, and there's like a few spin-off series of these books. Would we be shocked if I didn't know what it was about? No, we would not. I'm gonna be going through this pretty quickly, so I don't know what a book is about. We're not gonna like snag on it. You can go look it up on Goodreads. I'm gonna go in as blind as I want to. Up next, I have Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorite writers of all time. The only books I haven't read by him are his YA books because I've DNF'd the beginning of both of the series, and Rhythm of War because I haven't been able to make it through my reread. And then Elantris, minus I think a few of his like really short things. So I don't understand why when I've been able to accomplish The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer, and The Way of Kings twice, why I can't read Elantris. It's so much shorter than those 3, but for some reason my brain like gets stuck on it and won't accept the fact that I need to read this book. I've owned this for so long. I've had this on my TBR for so freaking long, but I just see the 24-hour audiobook and I go, I mean, Rhythm of War is 65 hours, and I'm more willing to read that book than I am to read Elantris. I think part of that is because I don't know the characters in Elantris. I don't know if I'm going to actually love it, and I'm a little bit intimidated by the fact, like, what the hell happens if I'm not as in love with it as I am in love with everything else in the Cosmere. Up next is Malice by John Gwynne. If you're shocked to see this on this list, then you haven't been watching my channel, because this book gets put on almost every single TBR. I have been reading this book. I am here. I'm page 150. I have been reading this book since December of 2020. It is July of 2021. That is 7 months of me trying to get through this book. It's good. I'm really enjoying it. It's just thick. And I found that I had the audiobook and I couldn't like process what was being said. So I picked up the physical book and I found out that I couldn't process what was being said. But if I had the audiobook at exactly the right speed and I was reading along with it at the same time, I could process it perfectly. The problem is, for those exact elements to align, I have to be in the exact perfect mood, and for me to get through 600 and something pages of a book where I have to listen and read at the same exact time is just not something I tend to want to do do with my time. I like to do either or I like to have both for like small periods of time. So this one, I'll be reading this. I will be reading this. This will not be making it on any more lists. I will be reading this book. Oh my God, I'm so afraid of this book. Up next, we have The Sword of Kagan. I think that's, a subscriber told me how to say it, and I've already forgotten what they told me, but I believe it's Kagan. I think I was saying Kaigan, and they were saying that was wrong. So let's just go with that assumption that it's Kagan. This book has also made it on millions of lists on my channel. It's on my 5-star predictions video. It's in so many TBRs. I finally bought it this past month so that there's no more excuses. And still, I look at it and I go, another day I'll pick you up. Just sometime in the future, I will pick you up. But this has like a mom as the main character in a fantasy, and that's literally all I needed to hear before I was like, I'm reading this, I'm loving it, I need it now in my life. Next, I have The 1,000 Deaths of Ardor Ben. This is another book I've had since December. I read it for my Try a Chapter Tag challenge, where I tried a chapter of every single book I owned at the time, and it's one of the few books that I still have on my TBR from that time where I tried a chapter in it. And like I said, December, now it's July. This is a con job heist fantasy. Like, I so want to read this. I have all 3 books in the series. I want to read them all so badly, but I look at this and I'm like, God, I could read 3 to 4 other books in this amount of time. So why would I stop and read 1 book when I could read 3 to 4 books? My logical side of my brain really keeps me from succeeding sometimes. I just need to have like a month or 2 where I say, screw it. It's not about the numbers. It's not about how much I can read. It's about just reading this book. Next up, we have Son of the Storm. This one intimidates me not only because of the size. I think it's only like 400 and something pages, to be completely honest, but I've heard that it's a very slow story, and I tend to get like bored in slow stories, but I feel like this one is going to be so important and so impactful to me that I just want to read it. I received the ARC for this book, and then it was published, and then more time passed and I still haven't gotten to it. I'm so excited to be getting to it, to be completely honest. I think it's going to be good. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, but I haven't picked it up. Next up, we have The Icosar Falcon. I think that's the only sequel on this list. It is. So this is the sequel to... It's Chronicles of the Bitch Queen. What the hell is the first book called? Oh my God. Oh my God, what the hell is the first book called? Well, I've lost my sanity. I can't remember what the first book is called. The problem is I was loving The Wolf of Aran-Yarrow. I was loving The Wolf of Aran-Yarrow so much, and then stopped. I had to wait for the second book to get published, and in that time while I waited, I just lost interest. I think I rated book 1 4.75 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I own it. I can't wait to reread it one day, but I am so intimidated by picking up this next one because I'm afraid that I've forgotten who the characters are or what they're doing or anything that is happening, and I'm afraid that if I pick up this book, I'm not going to care anymore, which is just really unfortunate to think that I could read a book at one time and then another time in my life just isn't the right time. Sometimes a book just comes to you in the perfect time, and if you wait too long, you're just never going to get to the sequel. And honestly, I'm deathly afraid that I will never read this book because of that, because of time. Next, we have, I don't know how to say this word, Sephraiel's Hand. So this one made it onto one of my TBR bingos. I think it was my June TBR bingo as the longest book on my TBR. The blurb sounded really, really good to me. It was on sale on Audible, and I had seen it pop up so many different times, so I bought it. And then I processed how long it was, and I'm just like, shit, oh my God, that's long. And it goes back to this thing where it's like I could read 4 books in the amount of time that it takes me to read that one, so why would I read one? God, I really need to work on that. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't even bother commenting, telling me that it's okay to only read 1 book a month. I know it's okay, but not for me. The next 4 are the books that I do not own that are on this list. So we'll be going through these ones probably quickly because I know even less about them as I haven't even bought them yet. First up, we have The Painted Man by Brent V. something. Peter V. Brent. And so I've heard great things about this. It's a desert fantasy. I love desert fantasies. They are amazing to me. They stand out to me so well. My library has the audiobook and the physical book, so I could consume it any way I want to, but I honest to God thought this book was like 5 hours long. I thought it was a novella, and then recently I went to check it out because I was like, oh, I could do a desert fantasy right now, and I found out that it was like 20 to 30 hours long, and I was like, oh, heck no, that's not what I was trying to sign up for. It's a series. I think it's completed now. Some of the covers are gorgeous. It has a lot of different covers, and they all they're just really pretty, and I'm just scared, okay? The next two are hard sci-fis, and so the reason why I'm really intimidated by them is because I don't read much sci-fi, but for some unknown reason, they have stuck in my head as books that I need to read and that I will love. I don't know why. I have no logic behind either of these. The first one being Children of Time. I've heard it's a long, slow, hard sci-fi. None of those words sound super great to me, to be honest, but every time I hear people talk about contact with aliens, and the aliens are these giant spiders, and I'm like, heck yeah, I want to read that book. That sounds fantastic. The second one on the list is Winter's Orbit, and this one got brought to my attention when I did my enemies to lovers trope test video, and I was asking for recommendations of LGBTQ plus books where they were enemies to lovers because I was having such a hard time finding any. There was like 3 that I could find, and I'd already read 2 of them. So someone recommended me to read Winter's Orbit, which has, I do believe, a gay couple as the main characters, and it is enemies to lovers. So I want to pick that up for that reason, but I also want to pick it up because there's just other parts of it that sound good to me, and I can't wait to pick up a sci-fi and be miserable the entire time. I won't be miserable the entire time. If you guys have any sci-fi recommendations for people who are like afraid of sci-fi, please comment them down below. I'll be willing to listen. If you recommend Dune, I will block you. I don't like that book. I've tried multiple times to read that book. I'm not reading Dune, okay? Thanks. The final book on this list is one that 100% should not intimidate me because I have read every other book by this author. I've literally read every other book by this author except for this one. And the reason why I don't want to read this one is for one really strong reason. And this is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. So I don't want to read freaking Crescent City 1 because I don't like urban fantasy. I've loved Sarah J. Maas's other books. I've hated Sarah J. Maas's other books. I have very mixed opinions. There are some that are 5 stars. There are some that are 2 stars. And I get really wishy-washy. Her writing is easy. Like, if you want to argue nothing else, her writing is easy. You get through them. Yeah, she lacks a lot of things. We could sit here all day and complain about her, but her writing is easy and you get through the books. So the size of this one doesn't necessarily scare me or intimidate me or anything like that. It's more so the fact that I don't like urban contemporary fantasies, and this book is an urban contemporary high fantasy. So I'm freaking scared that I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to hate it from page 1, and then I'm going to be sitting there reading for 700 and something odd pages going, oh my god, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. So if you guys have any recommendations for getting through House of Blood and Stone, or whatever the hell, what'd she call it? House of Earth and Blood, please let me know down below. I'd really love to read it. I'd really love to love it. I'd really love to get through it and not feel like I'm hating myself or the author. In case you're super curious, that was the whole entire list. I do have 3 of the 4 that I don't own on my Amazon wish list. I am not asking you to buy them for me by any means necessary. You don't have to buy me a single thing. I'm not asking. I'm just letting you know because a few people in my comments have recently been asking if I have an Amazon wish list, and so I want you to know that I do have one linked down below, and 3 of the 4 that were on this list are in it. So no pressure. Completely go on with your day ignoring the fact that I have this. Thanks for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Keep doing your best. I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.